love what you do and do it for fun. Like, this is not a business that you get into to make money or to get accolades. Like, you have to truly be passionate about breeding dogs. Like, you have to be passionate about what you do and love what you do. Otherwise, don't do it. It's not just like a box to check.
Welcome to the Better Breeder Chronicles, brought to you by EasyWhelp Premium Whelping Boxes. Elevate your breeding program with EasyWhelp. In today's episode, we visit with Kristi Libertore. Located in South Carolina, Kristi is a prolific breeder of both Whiskey Hills Bracco Italiano and Whiskeytown Wirehaired pointing Griffons. Kristi has an intriguing story that intertwines both of these sporting breeds, as you will hear today. Beyond all the breed records, national specialties, best in shows, and group placements at Westminster in the AKC National Championship, her dogs are also known for being dual-purpose champions that hunt as well as they win. Kristi was honored as the 2020 AKC Sporting Group Breeder of the Year. Those who know Kristi best speak about her with the highest esteem, particularly regarding her ability to succeed at the highest level in multiple rings with multiple breeds. Join me now in welcoming the master of Whiskeytown and Whiskey Hills, Kristi Libertore. Kristi, welcome to the show. I'm excited for you to share both the Whiskeytown and Whiskey Hills story with us today. If you would, take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in purebred dogs?
So, as a child, I grew up showing horses and very involved with like breeding and showing horses. But my oldest sister was into purebred dogs. So, even as a child, I would tag along with her. We went to some dog shows. She had bearded collies. I made her get an English Cocker Spaniel. But even as a child, I was like part of that, although my heart really like was with the horses more so. As an adult, my ex-husband was very much into hunting and he wanted to get a versatile gun dog. And, I was like, okay, that's fine. We're going to get a really nice purebred dog. I want to like do research. And we were watching Westminster Kennel Club one night and there was a survey. So I like answered all of the questions and it came up with a 99.99% match for a wire-haired pointing Griffon. I had no idea what that breed was. My sister had shown PBGVs, which is still a breed that I love, and I had a PBGV. But when I saw the Griffons' faces, I was like, okay, this is your next hunting dog. That's what I want to get. And from that point forward, I began researching breeders, definitely looking for a hunting dog. That was my priority. But also because I had that background, I was looking for a really qualified breeder that did all of the health testing, that also had really like, show quality dogs. Not that I intended to show at that point in time, but I just wanted that breeder that like bred the right dogs with the right conformation, but was absolutely in the market for a hunting dog.
Do you recall an early event that set the hook for you on the passion for purebred dogs or kept you going down that path?
So my first dog, her name was Boo. And I was taking her weekly for training. And I was actually a field person that knew my breeder, saw her and said, messaged him, told him, like, this is a really pretty bitch and, you should contact her. So he reached out to me and he said, hey, would you bring this dog? I'll let my handler take a look at her at a dog show. And again, coming from a horse show background, that wasn't really like weird or unusual to me. So I was like, all right, that's fine. And I brought her and she went over her and she was just like, "Oh my god, she's beautiful. You should show her." And so we began showing Boo and she was our hunting dog, but from the minute she like hit the show ring, she was just like a little mega superstar. And I remember being at a dog show in Carmel, Del Monte, and I remember like they were taking photos of her and this woman said, "Oh, that dog, she went like winner's bitch that day, best of opposite sex, like a 5-point major." And she was like, "That dog could show at Westminster someday." And I just thought that like that was so crazy. I was like, "What?" Like that's my little hunting dog. And yet a few years later, she was the number one Griffon and she went to Westminster and she not only won the breed, but she made the final cut of the top 6 sporting dogs at Westminster that year. So like, she definitely set the hook for me with just enjoying showing as a hobby and kind of transitioning that love of showing horses over to showing dogs.
I was going to say, when you can take a first dog and place in the group at Westminster, that will set the hook.
Right. And she was truly a hunting dog. So she had
That's terrific.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, Kristi, most accomplished breeders can look back to several people in their past, mentors, whether formal or informal, that really influenced them in their journey. When you look back on your story, who were those early mentors that influenced you?
So specifically Jill Reifschneider. And so people might not know her unless you have Bouviers. But if you have Bouviers, you would know that she bred Ace's Chain Reaction, who has 22 best in shows. He's the top winning best in show dual herding dog. She also bred Ace's Indelible Mark, who won the group at Westminster. And so I got to know Jill because she bought a wire hair pointing Griffon for her sons to hunt with. So I just observed her at a dog show and I just got to know her. And so as I began my journey with Boo, I got to know Jill. And Jill, I'll just never forget, one day she looked at me and she said, like, do you really want to know? And I was like, yes, like, because my breeder, and I loved him to death, he had a dog that he was spending like tons of money on. And, most night, like people would just been like, oh, it's that dog, right? And she was like, do you really want to know? And I was like, I do. I want you to teach me, train me, show me. And she like pulled me in, like, she's like, let's watch the group. And she would just tell me, like, this is what's good, this is what needs to change. And just, from that point forward, Jill taught me everything. And I remember like looking at her closet of ribbons and thinking, like, you just put them in a closet. And I mean, now I'm like, I don't keep those ribbons either. But right, she just like put the stars in my eyes, but also she was a vet tech. So even to this day, if I freak out or anything, I will pick up that phone and I will call Jill and just be like, Jill, what is going on? And probably one of my best things that I was ever able to do is when her dog, Link, we were sitting together at the AKC National Championship where he got a herding group 3. And she was like, I just can't go on. I don't have the money to go onwards to Westminster. It's a really good judge for us. And I was like, Jill, how can I help you? And so I ended up like signing on to him. And I don't typically back dogs, but I did it because she was like such a great mentor to me. And what's great about her is she only has a litter like for herself. Every 2 to 3 years, she may have a litter, and yet she has bred these absolutely amazing dogs who are not only like working herding dogs, but also like go and like win the groups at Westminster. And so we didn't win the group that year, but we got a group 2. But I mean, that was my original number 1 was Jill for sure.
It's interesting. So many breeders, especially young and aspiring breeders, when they think about finding a mentor, their first thought is in their breed, in their local area, which more often than not is going to be their direct competitors. And oftentimes those experiences turn negative. It is always interesting to talk to master breeders about their mentors and then realize how often the most impactful breeders that they ever had were from another breed.
I mean, she just taught me everything about how to campaign a dog. We ended up co-owning like Carly together, her Griffon. I mean, like she taught me how to back a dog, what a backer is. I mean, just everything. But yeah, no, that was not her breed. Bouviers are her breed, but I met her through a mutual shared interest. But to your point, yes, like doesn't have to be. In fact, and sometimes it's healthy when it's not, because for her, kind of, like the Griffon was just like her family hunting dog. But she just has such a great knowledge base and literally shared so much with me over the years. So certainly I have breed mentors too, but she was, like, the one that means the most to me.
If you had to make a short list of the most important lessons you learned from her, what would they be?
Start with the bitch. Like, a great bitch is, like, to me, everything, and that's why if you look at my history with, like, the dogs I've campaigned, I've had a lot of, like, really top winning bitches. I feel like if the female is a great female, the stud just brings to that and adds to that. Second, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I had a really beautiful male Griffon who his history as a stud is significant. We had one health test that didn't come back bad, but maybe didn't come back like the way you want it to. And I just remember calling her like devastated, like, oh my God. And she's like, Kristi, come on, let's talk about this for a moment. Like, right? Like I would just like breaking that through. So like definitely don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Look at the bigger picture, start with the girl, and then she's a form and function person, as am I. So that's my passion, is that truly form and function should go hand in hand. And if the dog is built to do its job, it should do well in the show ring as well. So I always start with function, and those are the top 3 for sure.
Kristi, in researching your story, I believe there was one other prominent mentor, again from another breed.
Yeah, Linda Fitzmaurice, and she probably doesn't even know that, but, she is Java Hill duck tollers, and when I first got into showing dogs, on the West Coast, she was just my idol, and I remember she had, like, a best in show necklace, and at that point, I didn't have a best in show winner, but I would just, like, look at that, and, the things I loved about her, first of all, her dogs are beautiful. Java Hill certainly has, like, its own, storied history in the duck toller breed, but just, like, she's such a classy woman and just so, like, warm and inviting. Like, we would, like, be in these breeder things together, and she was really good at showing dogs, and I really wasn't. And she was just always so warm and inviting and good and, like, encouraging. Like, if I had beaten her, it didn't matter, and I lost to her, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love you." So, yeah, I mean, again, a breeder from another breed just that I looked to in my area, and I just saw that, like, consistent quality, like, year over year, there would always be a really nice Java Hill dog that was out showing and campaigning, and she just, like, really struck me from afar, and I think the world of her even to this day.
Well, I think that's another good lesson too about mentorship. So many breeders are trying to find that one-on-one relationship with a, certain person. You can have informal mentorships and you can learn with your eyes, even if there isn't that close personal relationship, observing these breeders, watching them, learning from them, how they do things, how they conduct themselves, how they treat and care for their dogs. There are mentors all around us if you're willing to be observant.
And you don't even have to, like, be like, have that relationship with them. I mean, 2 others that I would say within my 2 breeds that I work with, Elaine Hunsaker at Fireside. So, from the minute I got into wire hair pointing Griffons, like, I looked at her kennel and I was like what struck me about that was, like, if you look in the pedigree of the great Griffons, you're going to see Fireside, right? So, I began to observe her dogs, their pedigrees, like, what did they do, right? And years later, we met, and I was very successful at that point. Everybody thought Elaine and I would hate each other, and we didn't at all. Like, it was just, like it was so great to, like, finally have a relationship with her, but it was literally many years after we were both in the breed because I just had huge respect. Like, I literally wanted to be her. Like, I wanted to build a kennel that when you look and you see Whiskeytown in the pedigree of a Griffon, that it meant something the same way that Fireside does, and in the Broncos, it's an Italian kennel, but I love Maurizio Sardini at Pulsaveris. He's been in this breed for over 40 years, and, I met my husband. My husband was working with another great breeder, Gabor from Capatriota di Bonfini, but also a longtime breeder, but there was just something about Maurizio's dogs that struck me, I mean, again, that form and function, he was very into, like, the field trials, his dog just had that athletic look that I liked, and so, like, I just began, like, researching those pedigrees and again, look same thing that for both of them. When you look at the great dogs, even from other kennels, you're gonna see Pulsaveris in there if it's a Bracco, and you're gonna see Fireside in there if it's a wire hair pointing Griffon. So I would say learn the pedigrees of the dogs you like in your breed. Look for those kennels that they come from and either build a relationship with them and or just understand who they are, what they did, and how they got there.
Christy, after you establish your clear vision of what you wanted a Whiskey Town Griffon to look like, what dogs or bloodlines helped you progress towards that vision in creating your own bloodline?
So I did something that a lot of people are afraid to do. So I loved Boo, the one I told you. And if, I mean, most people would like get this dog and, she's number one and she goes to Westminster, right? But, she had some things about her. She was a little manic sometimes, great field dog, like best hunting dog ever, right? So her coat was a little soft, but I went to a national specialty and I sat and I observed dogs and I observed something that I felt was like, now that I had a picture in my mind of what I wanted, I observed 2 dogs from another great kennel, Duchasser out of Canada, that I wanted, and they had a breeding coming up from Duchasser Bio and, another female, Raclette, both beautiful dogs, and it was actually a very tight breeding. They were half siblings, same mother, being bred to each other, and I put myself on that wait list to get a female out of that litter, and it's the best thing that I ever did. And if you look at where Whiskeytown is today, most of that goes back to Gigi was her name that I got out of that litter. By the way, Jill flew to Canada with me and helped me pick out Gigi. But most of my great dogs go back more so to Gigi, also to Boop. But so just and I've done that in Broncos. I just bought a Bracco bitch this year. I was like drinking coffee one morning And a friend from France sent me this picture and they're like, this bitch is for sale. And I was like, don't do it. Do not do it. And like within like 20 minutes, I'm emailing the guy, like, okay, tell me about this bitch. And I bought her. Her name's Cora and she's beautiful. So I would just tell people, like, you don't have to stay with what you start. Have the vision, have the picture of what you want. And then if you see something, even if you have to like go and get it from somewhere else and bring that in, go do that. Like, don't even be afraid. Just like go do it. But it does start with, you have to have the picture in your mind. And one thing that makes me proud as a breeder, people will say, and I mean, when I kind of got away out of Whiskeytown a little bit, it got lost a little bit, but people will say they can spot a Whiskeytown dog. Like, there's a certain consistent look, and I think we've done a great job already with Whiskey Hills on the Bracco. Like, there's a look and a picture I always have in my mind, and I will either get it from my own dogs, or if I had to bring something from the outside, I'll go get that to stay with that picture. So build your picture, stick with it, but don't be afraid to like go outside. Like, what you start with doesn't have to be with like where you go. Even if you've established yourself, you can still bring new dogs in.
And perfect segue to my next question. If you would, describe for us, what does a Whiskeytown Griffon look like?
So a Whiskeytown Griffon will be the correct size. I'm like big into size. They're gonna be, a Griffon should be slightly longer than, it's not a square breed, but a Griffon for me is going to have great movement, great structure. They're gonna have a beautiful headpiece, and they're gonna move really, really, really well. So it's not that it's all about size, but the reason I'm so into size, if a dog gets too big, too outside, it cannot do its job. So I always like I'm a breed club mentor, so I always explain to people like what they were bred to do. So a Griffon was bred to like go into thick cover, go into dense, like be a dog that it's a versatile dog too. So like my ex-husband was into duck hunting. That's why he wanted a versatile dog. So they should be big enough you can grab them and pull them into a boat. That double coat is there to like protect them in cover, but also for water, keep them warm. So a Whiskeytown dog is going to have a beautiful headpiece. It's going to be the correct size. It's going to move beautifully, which they're supposed to have this easy cat-like grace. They're not a Bracco. They're not going to have that crazy side gait of a Bracco, which I do love and adore. But they should still move, and it should be, like, just effortless like a cat. Like, I always just think of if you ever saw, like, a leopard or a lion, it's like an easy, even pace just going through the thing. So, again, headpiece, size, I want a good correct coat, but it should be a double coat. So my dogs are always gonna have the furnishings. You're never gonna see a Whiskeytown dog, like, with the really, really tight, tight coat. That's just not for me, that's a type characteristic that I don't wanna sacrifice. I wanna see them with the true double coat, with the facial furnishings, but correct, not a soft coat, but the double coat for sure.
Fellow breeders, see what your breeding program has been missing with Easy Whelp modular whelping boxes. From the durable Easy Classic design to the spacious Easy Classic Tall, Easy Whelp sets a new standard for premium design and performance. Their innovative models are developed for simple setup and maximum safety, with features like integrated safety rails to protect your next generation. The smooth, hygienic surface allows for quick wipe downs to maintain a sanitary environment. The new windowed wall option provides the next level of safety, confidence, and convenience. No tools are required for assembly, which comes in handy if time is short in those critical moments. Elevate your breeding program today. Visit easywhelp.com. So, Kristi, I'd like to learn a little more about your most notable Griffons and really what made them special. Who are the dogs that made Whiskeytown?
So, from a breeder's perspective, top of my list would definitely be Grand Champion Whiskeytown Dalwhinnie Bree. She was out of the dog I referenced earlier, Boo, and also one of my males, Flatbrooks Air About him. And she was the first bitch to ever go best in show in the breed. There had been multiple males that had gone best in show, but it took, well over 30 years. She was also my first best in show winner, so that makes her special to me. But why Bree stands out in my mind and she got a group 2 at Westminster, group 4 at the AKC National Championship. I mean, just a superstar in the ring, but she was that true, like, dog that I try to breed. She was also a NAVHDA North American Versatile Hunting Dog, natural ability, UPT, UT prized dog. She was an AKC junior and senior hunter, just a standout in the field, a standout in the show ring. And I mean, Bree just always brought it and was just a very special dog to me, particularly because she was out of my 2 original foundation dogs. Second to Bree would probably just in recent times, because I kinda got away from that breed for a while, and then I have another beautiful bitch that I could talk about, Whiskeytown Captain Morgan's Cranberry Chris, who was a multiple winning, best in show bitch as well, but she produced a boy, Whiskeytown Canadian Crown Royal Blue, that I sent to Canada, and he was the number 1 dog in Canada last year, which is great, but he's also a best in show winner who, like, has, a NAVHDA utility prize won 204 out of 204, has a water dog elite title, like field dog, field dog junior, field dog advanced, like literally every field dog title you could ever imagine winning at the very highest levels. He has, in addition to being a best in show winner. And what's significant, I think, about the 2 of them is they tie back to he was a line breeding to my male that was, Flatbrook's Air About Him, and that was a very beautiful boy that I bought from the same breeder that I got Boo from. Higgins was just a beautiful Griffon. He was a little bit big, so we showed him. He had a successful show career. He placed in group and won at the AKC National Championship one year, won at Westminster one year, won the breed. But he was a little bit big, but he was just absolutely beautiful, but he was just a fantastic hunting dog and a fantastic show dog. The other one that I love is so I had a multi best in show bitch, Captain Morgan, Cranberry Kiss. Morgan is her name. She's a 2-time national specialty winner, a multiple best in show winner, and her career was cut a little bit short because of COVID. But Morgan, in addition to just being a beautiful show dog, a beautiful hunting dog, has produced in we were like we struggled to get her bred 2 very small litters, and then yet in those 2 litters, she's already produced, like, such top winning dogs. A mother best in show winner producing a best in show son, I'm not sure if that's, like, occurred in the breed before, so Morgan would be the other one that is absolutely special to me.
In 2020, you were awarded the AKC Sporting Group Breeder of the Year for Whiskeytown Griffons. What did that honor mean to you?
It meant everything, to be honest. I thought you had to be, like, really old and like, I had gone to that show and seen that awarded, and I mean, I was sitting at my desk one day, and, like, 3 different people called me, and I didn't even know that I had been, like, nominated, and so, like, all of a sudden, like, my phone just blows up, and I was like, "What is going on?" And, I mean, I literally about fell out of my chair, so it was one of the greatest honors of my life. I'd put it even above work awards or anything like that. It was it was special, and I didn't like I said, I didn't know I'd been nominated. It was a little disappointing that it was COVID because I did not get to go, like, out. That was the year that, like, they didn't even allow anybody in the building. But, my friends and I, we went across the street and we celebrated with a bottle of champagne. We had a nice dinner at Capitol Grill and we watched the video that they made to give that award. And but it's a very special and important thing to me for sure.
So, Kristi, unlike most master breeders whose story is interwoven with a single breed, your story took quite a turn into a new breed, which was probably an even bigger challenge. Tell us that story.
So I went through a divorce in 2015 and eventually met my now husband. And I actually met him because he was a field dog trainer and he actually trained a Griffon of mine. And through that, we met, we began dating, and he was very involved with Bracco Italiano. And so as we began to date, he was like, "It's very important to me that you meet my dogs, you meet my breed." I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm a Griffon person." And he opened the door one day and his beautiful master hunter, first master hunter bitch in the breed, UT1 prize dog, like literally like ran and like just jumped into my arms, which knowing her for years later, she doesn't do that. Like I mean, he came in with a roll in his hand and his like jaw dropped. He was like, "You don't understand." He's like, "Victoria doesn't do that with anybody." I was like, "What? Like she loves me already. I don't need your roll." She really doesn't, and from the minute she jumped in my arms, I mean, I was just, like, hooked. I met the Bracco Italiano, and I think going back to that, like, horse thing of mine, Broncos are just they're just when they move, like, they're like I grew up showing American saddlebreds, they're like the 5-gated saddlebred. I mean, they are such a powerful dog. They're totally goofy, they're silly. To be honest, I do not love grooming wire hair pointing griffons, the cockleburs, and combing all of that out. So even just, like, from an ease of use as a hunting dog, just everything about them just, like, knocked me off my feet, like, from the minute I met them, and I was very blessed. He had bred that beautiful girl, and he was like, "I'm gonna give you the pig puppy, you get to go pick her." He's like, "I'll supervise who you pick." And that was our girl Lola, who's gone on to be a phenomenal brood bitch as well and is my heart dog. But yeah, I just through a change in life circumstances was introduced to this breed. I still love my wire hair pointing griffons, but I truly was just led to this other breed, and it was really interesting because they were not AKC yet. And so to, like, be in so early and be part of that process and see how hard that really is, was amazing, I mean, like, there's so many people that once they win AKC, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get a Bracco here or there," but, like, I mean, we there were 2 clubs, and the clubs didn't get along, and one club had to, like, vote to go away for the other club to go forward, right? I mean, there was just this multi-year process to just even get them to that point, and, it was great to be involved with that, and then to meet him, I mean, he had already, over a decade in the breed, I mean, just very involved. And he's like me, he grew up with horses, he's got a great eyes, like, I took him to my Griffon National, he could sit there and be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. He could place every single class, right? Like, he's a great dog person, he is a field guy, but he has an eye for conformation, and to this day, I mean, I'm always like I just showed him the other night, we were looking at, like, a breeding for a Griffon, and I was like, "What do you think of this one?" He's like, "Oh, no." I was like, "Okay, thanks." Like, right? So, I was very blessed to meet this person that introduced me to another breed that just kind of captivated me, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but, I'd won literally everything. I mean, we won with the Griffons, the Westminster Kennel Club Best of Breed 8 out of 9 years. We'd had 2 field dogs of the year, 2 show dogs of the year. We'd won a AKC, multiple years in a row, the number 1 dog multiple years in a row. When you feel like you've kinda checked every box, there was
Yep.
a piece of me that just kinda felt like it would be kind of fun to, like, do it again in a different breed. And then also, if you go back to my original mentors who don't breed very often, so I didn't, like, wash my hands of Griffons, but now I'm in, like, a really happy place where I only breed what I want every now and then for if I want something, and or I've got some people that I'm co-breeding with that I help them, like, breed what I want. And so I kind of love that. Allows me to kind of be artistic and still, like, put out these really great litters of Griffons every now and then. But, I'm one of those people, if I'm in, I'm all in, and I put a lot of energy into something. And so right now it's about the Broncos.
So genetically, when you got into the Broncos, did you simply just kind of get involved with your husband's breeding program, or did you take it a different direction? What did you do as you started dipping your toe into the water with that breed?
So that's always a fun thing because, like, he's got this history and he's really good at what he does. And I do, and I love the kennel and I love his foundation bitch and his foundation girls. So there was that, but together he found our male, like one like Lipshi Valente Harris in Russia that we imported in. He found Lipshi and I was like, I love him. But he found him, and but also he's allowed me, so, again, I've talked about Pulseveris. So as I got into the breed, I mean, that's one thing I like about Facebook, it's can be like the devil that you know, but it can also have its really good perks, and if you're breeding a dog that you need to go overseas, it allows you to just, like, see and get to know people, and so that so for me, I kinda zoomed in on Pulseveris, I began showing that to him, like, "Hey, I really like these dogs." He's like, "Oh, so do I." We never disagree. Like, he's very involved with everything. So, like, if I like something, he's gonna like it as well. Like, it's not like we ever argue about like we're very aligned in the type and the style and the things that matter to us. But I, showed him this and same story. I saw a bitch that was for sale that was older. And I was like, "I'd really like to buy Turi, Pulsaver's Turin dot." And he was like, "Okay." He never tells me no. So we bought Turi and brought her in, and she was actually the one that produced, some of our dogs that you'll see today out like being number one. He didn't blink an eye when I wanted to buy Cora. I also imported a bitch named Rumor. And so again, I probably spend more time online, like, and networking and like looking at different dogs, right? But if we're gonna bring something, and I always come back to him and say, "Do you like this dog? Are you good with this?" So far, he hasn't told me no. So, yeah. So it's a team effort for sure. Oh, and or I've used frozen semen from overseas as well. Then I do listen to him. If he doesn't like a dog, like, I mean, he'll tell me, "I don't like that dog," and I don't, like, disagree, and we just had one of the best litters we've ever had, and I wanted to use my male Axel, and he was like, "Nope, this is Leafshy," so we used a very moderate boy who throws bone as opposed to the son of him that has the bone, and he was right, and I was like, "You were right, he nailed it," like, right? So we're a team.
So, what are some of the challenges when trying to breed elite animals from such a limited gene pool compared to what you were coming from? What are those challenges, and kind of how do you breed Broncos different than you did the Griffons?
So I would love to say Griffons are easy, but it's not like there's a million choices there. But compared to Broncos, to your point, yeah, I mean, it's very limited. So I rely heavily on Europeans and building and networking relationships with people. So
Okay.
I pay attention. I look at photographs, I look at videos. If I see something I like, I'll message that breeder and start asking questions, get to know them. It's very expensive though. I mean, to sometimes it works out great. So we bred to a Pulsaveris Penente that won, like, he won the group at the World Dog Show many years ago. Beautiful top winning Bracco over there. And that worked great. Like, I messaged her and we were able to ship the frozen semen in. We got a litter of 10. Awesome, a win, right? Conversely, as you know, sometimes the litters don't take and you are just out thousands of dollars because there's the stud fee plus like the shipping fee, which, it all adds up. So I would just say the cost of breeding is so much higher in the Bracco, just because, take whatever stud fee, or even if you're importing a dog, take whatever you're doing and add two to $4,000 to it just to get it, into the country, right? So that's probably the biggest challenge is that it is a smaller gene pool. So I have to go to Europe. And in Griffons, I mean, I imported I with a co-breeder, co-owner, two French males. But that was kind of more of a luxury kind of a thing, right? Like, "Oh, hey, I really like these dogs. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's bring them in. They'll really give some good things," and they did. But with the Broncos, it's more of a necessity. And so again, I would just say that it just adds exponentially to the cost of breeding and your success rate because, or you're buying a dog that, you may or may not like or love and or can ever get bred, right? I mean, we spent a lot of money on a beautiful male. He was supposed to be my like next show dog, big breeding male, and he was beautiful and luckily we decided to like prelim him at 15 months old and he failed his hips and elbows. And there was like 10 grand out the window. So and I mean, I laugh about it, but, I had to pat home him and I found him a great home, but, that's the thing. It definitely makes it a more expensive and more difficult and heartbreaking challenge.
If you would, describe for our audience what a Whiskey Hills Bracco looks like.
So they're gonna be athletic. I really don't like houndy looking Bracco Italianos, and I'm such an advocate, like, because we hunt with them, the reason I love them, if you read what the standard is, their nose should be held high above the top line, right? Because, like, that they're scenting, they're not hounds, so I don't like a dog that's gonna move with its head, like, downward, right? Their nose should be above the top line as if being pulled by a string. They're gonna have that big, extended gait that a Bracco should have, and it's gonna be correct and sound. In either of my breeds, you're never gonna see my dog elbowing out or, it's gotta be clean and sound because I breed, again, hunting dogs. So it's gonna have a beautiful headpiece. It's going to have that perfect Bracco movement, which includes like the nose up in the air. And I'm a big advocate on tails. Like the tail should not, it's supposed to be like level or slightly raised. I do not like when it comes, like if it comes up too high and over the back. That again, you're starting to talk about things like breed type, right? You're starting to look like a hound. And so if I have any one thing that I would say, a Whiskey Hills Bracco Italiano is going to look like an Italian pointer because that's what they are. They're not a hound, and I cannot stand it when people like refer to them or they'll say, "Oh, their movement is elastic." It's like, no, the breed standard is not actually. That's in the bloodhound standard. It is not in ours. So it's an Italian pointer. So you're going to see athletic, correct, sound movement, big movement, and that head held up, but the tail correctly positioned. I don't. I'm a stickler. I have a bitch and we bred her, but like even when we hunt her, she'll go on point and her tail goes bing, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot. Like stop, right? So they're pointers, and they need to have the characteristics and qualities of a pointer.
Here at the Better Breeder Institute, we offer a full suite of digital resources and services developed to educate, support, and promote purebred conservation dog breeders. From free online tools like the Better Breeder Directory and Stud Dog Register, to our growing curriculum of courses, including Website Academy and Business Basics. We offer professional digital services, including email marketing and website design on our world-class Ultimate Breeder platform. Plus, we offer the Better Breeder Certification Program to distinguish purebred conservation breeders who breed to the standard and produce healthy, beautiful, and predictable puppies. We certify breeders who raise the bar with their ethics and breeding practices. At the Better Breeder Institute, we have the missing link to transform your purebred breeding program and achieve your highest goals. Learn more at betterbreeder.org. So, Kristi, I'd like to learn a little bit more about your most notable Broncos and what's made them special. Who are the dogs that have made Whiskey Hill?
So one that I'm particularly fond of because we help bring the breed up. There's only ever one AKC champion. That's the first AKC champion in the breed, and we bred her. And her name is Whiskey Hills Hold'em Hazel. Not only was she the first AKC champion, but she also earned her Master Hunter title and became the first bitch to be both a grand champion and a Master Hunter as well. So again, just that form and function thing all the way around. And what was nice about Hazel is she was, not only did we breed her, but Tony bred her mother and owned her grandmother. So she was like a Gen 3 dog for us. So just really fun to kind of see all the things that Hazel accomplished. And we now have Hazel's daughter, who's sired by another one of my favorites, which is Grand Champion Whiskey Hills Guns and for Roses. Axel Rose is his name. He was not the first best in show winner in the breed. He missed that by about 2 weeks, but he is the only best in show winner that also has a hunting title. He's also reserve best in show winner. And if you know this dog at all, that's just simply amazing because he hates to show, but he's so beautiful. And he stems back to that Pulsaveris bitch that I imported. We bred her to our male that we imported, and we are so blessed to have Axel Rose. And, what's neat is he was like the number one in the breed, the first like grand champion silver. And then just this past week, his daughter is now the first grand champion silver bish. She's taken over. She's number one in breed. She's a group winner. So just to see him, passing that down into, the puppies that he's producing. And then third to that, we had the national specialty this year, and there's an award, Fellow Bravo, and that is for the top like dog, like from a show perspective. But we actually have an Italian field evaluator as well. And so Whiskey Hills and Lumpy's Blanton, who is Axel Rose's son, and out of a bitch that my husband and I bred. He went best of opposite sex at the national specialty. He was the best puppy. This is a young male. So he was the best puppy in sweeps, best of opposite sex at the specialty itself, and then won the field event, was awarded the Bella Bravo, which is like the highest honor that you can get at a national, and that was Axel's son. So it's just kind of fun when you see it all come together. And Blanton has Victoria, my husband's original foundation bitch, plus Turi, the one that we brought in together. And then kind of at the heart of it all, he always yells at me, but like Leapshi Valente Harris, our boy Leapshi, who was the first grand champion in the breed, the first multi-reserve best in show winner in the breed, first Westminster Kennel winner in the breed, heck of a hunting dog. He's Axel's father and the grandfather of so many of these dogs as well. And I would just say, like, he's special to us, even though we didn't breed him, but he's made such an impact on the breed. And my husband, we bred him kind of years ago, and now he's 9 years old. And we kind of hadn't bred him for a while. And a friend of ours requested that we breed her bitch to him, and she ended up passing away. And so, in honor of her, we still did that breeding. And I was like, wow, like we just hadn't bred him to an outside bitch, and it had been years. I was like, those puppies are beautiful and they have so much bone and substance. So we've been breeding him again, and we just have the most beautiful litter I think we've ever had, and we kept a male out of it. And so Leapshe's really, really special as well. Leapshe, top winning show dog, but just he's gonna be that dog that you're gonna see in pedigrees for a long, long time to come. And he just proves, even again, coming out of nowhere at 9 years old, like, hey, I'm still here and I still have it. So
Kristi, how much does pedigree factor into your breeding decisions?
big time. Yeah. I think they think it's like baking cakes and you just take sugar and flour and it's not like that. Like, so when I'm mentoring, so especially in Griffons, I mentor a lot of people. Like, we just bred a best in show, multi best in show winner that I just sold them the female, and they were like, no, we want to leave you on. We want you to tell us who we should breed to. And it was all about pedigree. And I was just like, we want to do this and that. So for me, it's everything because in order for pedigrees to matter, you have to know what's behind it. What did that dog look like? What did its parents look like? The grandparents, what did they produce? Like, you have to like really understand all of that. But if you do, that's what you go by. You don't look at the dog on the ground. You go by what's in the pedigree and what's it going to produce. I always advise people, if they're gonna go to the national specialty, just buy a catalog and sit there and watch the ring, and then if you see something you like, go and look, and then circle that dog and what's its pedigree, and then, that will tell you, why do you like it, and, like, where did that come from? And then use that to breed to. It just sometimes crack me up because I've actually gone to a specialty and seen a dog, I'm like, "Oh my god, I love that," and I was like, "Oh god, it's one of my puppies." You know? Right? But, like, that's an honest thing, but you should just really understand what's behind a dog because that's what matters.
Do you find that you've used different breeding strategies between the separate breeds?
Yeah, I'm getting more bold in Griffons just because I have more years in that breed, and I have so and it's funny, I co-breed now with my handlers, and, like, Nikki Ryan's she's a golden retriever person. She's like, "Be bold enough to do half siblings?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Like, I definitely wouldn't do that yet in Broncos, but in Griffons, we're, like, getting more to that point, right? Yeah, the Broncos are trickier. They have more health issues. It's a healthy breed for the most part, but there's certainly amyloidosis, there can be allergies. I just feel like compared to the Griffons, which are a little bit more hardy, a little more outcrossed. The Braccos, I'm still just kind of I'm getting bolder as I go along, but yeah, I would say more. I always line breed, so I'm a huge advocate of line breeding. But like inbreeding, half siblings, I'm probably closer to that in Griffons than I am in the Bracco at this point.
When you look to outcross, what are you typically looking for? Is it at a time where you need to add virtues, remove faults, or just get new blood that you believe will click with what you have?
All of the above. So when I do outcross, I'm gonna stay with the same type. So they're gonna absolutely have to stick to like that picture, that image that I have. Then I'm gonna look at their pedigree. And if it's a total and pure outcross, I don't do outcross to outcross, right? So if I'm gonna outcross, like maybe I have a bitch that's very like so right now I have a beautiful little Griffon bitch and she's pretty tightly bred. So now I'm probably gonna outcross. So I'm like one of those people that goes, tight, tight, tighter, and then outcross. Yeah. So definitely going back if I feel like I've been moving too close and I want to go back, but still gonna stay within the same picture and image, and then look at that pedigree and like what things might it add that I don't want. So the bitch I just imported from Italy, her headpiece is still very correct. Like it's almost, but it's more than what a lot of my Braccos have now. I wanted that though, right? So like there like, maybe there's something that it's like, okay, I have that, but I want a little bit more of that. So I'm going to bring her into my kennel to add something that maybe I didn't have before too.
So, Christy, many people would look at a successful breeding program or programs, in your case, like your own, and only see the success. What they don't get to see is the rest of the story. What was the biggest challenge or setback that you've had to face in your breeding programs, and how did you overcome it?
I mean, my biggest heartbreak was the first Griffon puppy I ever whelped. She was like number one and a superstar. She got osteosarcoma in her nose. She was like, one second she's number one and like going best of ops at the national specialty, the top winning Griffon of all time. And the next second she's like, diagnosed with osteosarcoma and dead within 3 months. And that like literally, it just hurts so badly. It hurts to this day. The only comfort I take from that is I like the whole rest of her litter just like recently passed away at 15 years of age, right? I take comfort that I guess if something like that's going to happen, it happened to me and not somebody that I sold a puppy to. So I would just say my biggest thing as a breeder, I want to produce healthy dogs for people, and when there's a problem or an issue like something like that, like it's very rare in my breeding program that something bad happens, but we're not God, and occasionally it does. So I would just say like that's the thing. Like it's something like we had a Bracco, only one, thank God, but he died at 3 years of age, probably from a kidney issue. They didn't want to do a necropsy. But I mean, my husband was like, "Get them another Bracco now," and I was like, "We will, but like I got to make sure they're ready like for another puppy." And so we're gonna take care of our people, but like we feel like a personal investment. And so I would just say that the hardest part is those rare, thankfully they're rare, but those instances where you have to deal with something really hard or heartbreaking that you couldn't control, but you do your best. So, and we've we had a bitch in the last 6 months that you know came out of anesthesia and killed her entire litter. Had a litter before that, was a perfect mommy. She's got 5 puppies right now, was a perfect mommy, right? Things like that that you just, those tearful moments that literally rip your heart out. So,
Christy, we're always looking to help breeders learn how they can operate a better, more efficient kennel and breeding programs. What insights would you have to share with other breeders on that topic?
so we don't have like a kennel per se. Our dogs live in our house. And I have learned to expand my network through really good co-breeding relationships. And that's hard because sometimes those relationships do go south and it doesn't work out like maybe the way you'd hoped or the way you had intended. And yet I would tell you for the one time it goes bad out of 10, the other 9 are wonderful. So I would say, you know, when you're evaluating your litters, don't like try to keep everything for yourself. Like if you have a really good home that you can partner with or place that dog, I'll give away dogs for free sometimes, right? To the right person. And again, sometimes that can backfire on you, but I would just say expand your network by looking for those younger people that are coming up that, you can place a good dog with and allow it to be part of your breeding program and work with them and partner with them because it gives you a lot more options than just trying to do it on your own. And second to that, like, don't be selfish. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm the happiest person alive. Like, if I have like a really awesome dog and somebody buys it and they can take it out and go campaign it and win everything, I
Yeah.
just won. I won 10 ways to Sunday. So,
So refreshing to hear.
right? Like, I don't understand, like, why people don't want that. Like, if I don't have to pay for it and they're, like, gonna go do all these great things, fire away and be their friend and get to know them. So, that's, like, the biggest thing I would say is, like, don't try to, like, control everything. Be open and give yourself to others, work with others, and yes, I have been burned. Yes, sometimes you will get burned, but for the times that I've got burned, I would never ever trade that for the relationships and the accomplishments that I've been able to do through another group of people.
So, Christy, you started to get into my next question, which is here at the Better Breeder Institute. We promote the belief that we must begin treating our fellow breeders as partners and collaborators rather than competitors and rivals. Can you speak to the importance of that mindset for the preservation of these breeds?
Yeah, if I see a dog that I really, really love and blows me away, I'm going to try to be your friend. I want to be your friend. I want to breed my good dogs to your good dog as well. And unfortunately, that just seems to be a really difficult concept for a lot of people to understand. They get so caught up. There's so much jealousy, so much pettiness that goes on that I think just puts blinders on people's eyes. And that to me is crazy.
To quote Kathy Rush, she calls that breed selfishness.
Again, if I see a great dog, like I'm gonna be try to become your friend, and either we become friends or we don't. And the people I become friends, we're great friends. And I've been blessed. Like I said, in Europe, I've gotten some really beautiful dogs because I just was like, I love your dog. Like like this is what I would do, and they friend me, and then they succeed, I succeed, we succeed together, and we talk about breeding stuff, and then like that's should always be the goal. People are just I don't know, it's just hard for them to get outside of their box sometimes.
It's the limiting beliefs. It's the lack of, enlightenment about just how fulfilling dog breeding can be when you have top breeders working together, collaborating, trying to breed better dogs together instead of competing to see, look what I can produce in my backyard compared to what you can produce in your backyard alone. Because on our islands alone, we're all going to perish.
And I think it helps me. I mean, I come from a sales background, but my father taught me a long time ago, like, if you wanna be successful in something, you look at the person who's successful, and then you go, "What are they doing? What are they doing, and how do I try to be like them?" And then you become their friend. I mean, I was just like, even in sales, like, I've had a very successful career. I started the year, and I've gone there, right? And it was that same model of I would just, like, find that person that, like, wow, like, that person is, like, very successful. What do they do? How do they do it? How do we work together? And it just seems so much harder to do that in the dog world, and it shouldn't be.
And it doesn't need to be.
Right, but it's the rankings and all the different personality types that get involved in showing dogs. It's not just a dog showing issue. I mean, horses,
Absolutely.
can have the same issue, gymnastics, cheerleading, right? But yeah, I mean, we should be working together more. And I will say, I'll give kudos. Like wire hair pointing Griffon people that's a pretty good breed, and I like the people in that breed. I mean, there's always the outliers, but that's a good group, and they do try to work together for the most part and help one another and grow the breed. So that's rare and unique, and I appreciate that about the Griffon breed in particularly. And they're very good to me. Very good to me. Like in some breeds it'd be like, but I'm like very like treated really well, like almost like royalty. And I appreciate that. Like it's just a good breed with good people. So
Are you preparing for your first litter? Or do you want to outfit your whelping room in style? If so, check out Whelping Bundles from Easy Whelp. The Easy Whelp Starter Pack includes a modular whelping box, heating combo, and reusable pad. Step up to the Essentials, Pro, or Elite bundles to add a variety of premium whelping necessities and accessories. Ensure your whelping operation is world class with Easy Whelp bundles. Visit easywhelp.com today. Kristi, has your vision or goals for your breeding program changed or evolved over the years?
I've always been about form and function. And so I started with the foundation of I want beautiful hunting dogs that can show. There's anything that's changed, people always talk about the show dog side of it, but there's all the same politics and weirdness on the field side as well. And my husband, to be frank, could put any field title on a dog he wanted like that. It would be nothing to him. So if anything has changed, I would say I've become less concerned about, having those field titles to check those boxes versus just the confidence of taking a dog out in the field. And we know what they are, we know what they're not, and we know how to maintain that in our breeding program.
What does success in your breeding program mean to you today compared to when you began?
I've always wanted to breed healthy dogs, but I think it's keeping like really good family. Like I just want to know when I produce a litter that they're all like going to these great families and they're going to be like their lifelong partners and friends. And yeah, there's always that top few. So I think, I think in the beginning, I had this notion that every dog has to go out and do great things, right? Honestly, now I'm to that point where it's like, no, I'm gonna like zero in on like the top, 1 to 3 puppies. And if the rest of them just go and they're just in a great home, that's all I need. Like, I don't need every dog. Like, I don't need to check the box of every dog having every title. Like, picking out just the top and the best, and the rest just go be a great dog. And I've done my job.
How much value do you place on judges' decisions in the ring today compared to the past?
I think I'm more knowledgeable about, like, again, having mentored for so many years now and, like, now both my breeds and, like, just being around and getting to know judges. So, I mean, it depends on the judge. Like, I know what judges that I, like, have a world of respect for and who I think very highly of, and I know other judges that I'm just gonna, like, maybe, like, kinda roll my eyes, right? But at the end of the day, I judge my own dogs. Like, I know what they are, I know what they're not, so I don't get caught up in what they win or don't win. My husband and I are gonna like, we're more than competent to like grade our dogs, but certainly a really nice win under a judge. Or, if I'm showing a dog and a judge is like kind of catches on, like, hey, I mean, I like your special, but this puppy's really nice. Like, they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, it is, right? So those are the ones that matter to me. And I know the difference between people that are out there and judging dogs and really solid. So
At this point in your breeding career, what do you view as the most significant challenge to the sport?
I think that it's become very commercialized and there are so many shows and it's become very, very expensive. There's such a, thing about like rankings and ads and all of these things that it's becoming a little much for some people, for a lot of people, really. And then also losing focus on the dogs. I mean, I know it's like a dream world, but I mean, it's like every cluster, and I get why they do it, but they're all like 5-day clusters now, right?
They
So
are.
right, and, like, if you're trying to, like, keep your dog out and, like, it's literally showing, like, 5 days a week every day and not 2 days, it's so what I used to spend to campaign a dog versus today has become astronomically different, and I think that's a problem for our sport, even if you're just an owner handler, whether let alone using a pro, right? I mean, all of it, the entry fees, all of it. So I don't know, I would love, and I also think that's part of our judging, why people complain about judging, because there are so many shows. You have too many judges, being used that maybe, are a little bit cookie cutter. So I'm just a big advocate of, I wish we could get back to like fewer but really great shows, right? Less days, but really great shows with great judges. And I feel like we're getting away from that and becoming very commercialized.
On the flip side, what has you optimistic about the future of your breeds?
I like to see the growth of the Bracco Italiano. I get a little nervous because it's a lot of non-hunting people that are coming into the show world. A lot of bloodhound people. I did not see that coming. That like the bloodhound people would take such a liking to the Bracco. Great people, don't get me wrong. But what I see is that it's great that there are new people coming into the breed. They're importing new dogs, so the breed is, that, the more dogs that are getting imported helps, grow the gene pool, helps the breed continue to expand and grow in the US. So I think like, that is good in the Broncos, like watching people get involved in the breed, adding new dogs to the gene pool, growing the breed in the US. Because I mean, there really weren't many here at all, even just 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, or when my husband got started, almost 15 years ago. So that's great. I also see, young people still staying involved and getting involved. But I think probably the best thing is all of the different activities in sports, the dock diving, the fast cat, I'm a big fan of the NOHS series, right? Even Grand Champion. When I first got into Griffons, once your dog finished, it's like I have to go show against the number one dog in the country every week. Like I don't win anything. Why would So I do think that adding these different, venues, events, titles, that have really grown over the like last few years, particularly on a working dog like a Bracco. our dogs love, like, they're doing really well in scent work, like scent trials, and so and not everybody's a hunter. I mean, I would always prefer to see them out doing field things, but just to see, like, fast cats, scent trials, barn hunts, the different things that they can do, I think all of that is really healthy and good for the sport.
What do you believe your fellow breeders should be most focused on?
Continuing to honor the breed that it was for the job it was meant to do. I am a form and function person, and I just worry about Broncos a little bit. Griffons are great. Like that breed really like holds true. You cannot win show dog of the year unless you are a field dog title holder. It can be a junior hunter, but if you don't have a title in the field, you cannot be show dog of the year. And I just worry about the Bracco a little bit in that as it's growing and expanding, it seems to be an expansion more so on the show only homes. And I just want to make sure that people continue to remember that it is a beautiful working, pointing dog in the field. It's why they trot like that. So if I had any worry, it's just holding true to that. And I'll fight for that till the day I die that's why you'll see my dogs. They're always beautiful moving dogs because that really is how they hunt and it's sight to behold. So that would be my number one worry is keeping that dual form and function thing with the Broncos.
If there was one modern day master breeder that you'd like to see featured on this show, who would it be and why?
They're two Doug Johnsons, as you know, right? But the one from Colorado, like Bugaboo. And I know you know who that is because he's like so famous and he's probably already been on this show. But like I don't know, there's just something about, like, the entire Johnson family that I just really look up to. Again, they know who I am, not that we're, like, close personal friends, but we've shown my Griffons in the past, but the quality of their Old English sheepdogs, like, just again, year over year over year, it's just they just turn out these impeccable dogs so consistently. Such a nice family. You just never hear anybody say anything bad about them. They seem to be open and willing to share. Like to me, like they epitomize like the everything, right? So again, I went totally outside of my breed, but like I just look at the entire, Doug and Colton and Heather and like their daughters, right? They just that to me like they're like the what we should all strive to be.
Great family.
He showed one of my best friends Griffons and got best of opposite sex and like and so I got referred to them through my friend Jill because they know Jill because of the Bouviers, they know Jill. Well, we got referred to them and my friend was like, "Holy crap, he's really good looking." Like it's like 15 years ago, all right? 12 years ago, whatever.
Is there a breeder you'd like to see featured on the Better Breeder Chronicles? Then go to betterbreeder.org/nominate to let us know. We are looking for master breeders, whether they are highly acclaimed or they work quietly in anonymity to move their breed forward. Better Breeder Chronicles puts those individuals on their rightful pedestal and shares their story with the purebred dog world. Nominate your most respected breeder today. Go to betterbreeder.org/nominate. So, Kristi, thinking back over your journey in purebred dogs, what would you feel the most notable accomplishments of your breeding programs have been?
I just think the duality of the field and the show. I mean, I think a lot of people talk about it and they say they do it, but there's really few. And I think that's why, the like, Whiskeytown won Sporting Dog Breeder of the Year that one year. And my goal is to do that again with the Broncos to have these dogs that can win at like a best in show level, but truly still be, dogs that are like working active hunting dogs, with master hunter titles, NAVDA utility titles like that. That's really unique.
Kristi, to that aspiring breeder who's listening to the Whiskeytown and Whiskey Hill story today, if there was one thing you'd hope they take away from your story that could help them on their journey, what would it be?
Love what you do and do it for fun. Like this is not a business that you get into to make money or to get accolades. Like you have to truly be passionate about breeding dogs. Like have that vision, but like for me, it's like art. So like you have to be passionate about what you do and love what you do. Otherwise, don't do it. It's not just like a box to check.
And finally, after your breeding days are done, how do you want breed history to remember Whiskeytown and Whiskey Hills?
I want it to be dogs when you look back in the pedigree, that the dogs that you see 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, that when you look back in their pedigrees, that you see those two kennel names. I think I told you at the beginning, like with the kennels that impressed me, that's what I noticed. Like if I look at this dog, I'm like, wow, that's a great dog. A Bracco, you're going to go back and you're going to see Pulsaveris in the pedigree. If it's a Griffon, you're going to see Fireside, right? And so to be able to see Whiskeytown or Whiskey Hills in the pedigrees of the dogs would be like what we want to accomplish.
If breeders want to learn more about your dogs and your breeding program, do you have a website or where can they go?
Yeah, we have a website, whiskeyhillsbrocchi.com
Okay.
and Whiskeytown Kennel. So there's a website for each of the two breeds. And the reason we keep them separated is Whiskey Hills is my husband and I together with the Broncos. And then Whiskeytown, I actually have like co-breeder, Catherine Harper, that she helps maintain that website. And so again, we keep them separate because kind of two different pieces. I know that's very unusual, but they are two separate websites, but there's one for each of them.
Kristi, this conversation has been great. Thank you for sharing both the Whiskeytown and Whiskey Hills story with us today. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
That's it for this chapter of the Better Breeder Chronicles. We hope you found the Whiskeytown and Whiskey Hill story with Kristi Libertore captivating, and that it will inspire you to pursue your highest goals in your breeding program. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. At the Better Breeder Institute, we encourage all conservation dog breeders to embrace your fellow breeders as partners and collaborators rather than competitors and rivals. With the unprecedented challenges we all face today, successful breeding programs can no longer operate on an island. Our purebred dog breeder community must come together with everyone pulling in the same direction. This is crucial if we're going to successfully preserve and advance our beloved breeds. I'm Matt Stelter, closing the book for today. Best wishes to you and your breeding program from all of us at the Better Breeder Institute. We'll see you in the next chapter. Take care.